Right, it's Dom from Kit Kingdom, and I've got a special show for you this evening. We've got some amazing guests from a club which some of you may have seen on my socials, something I'm always pushing, being community focused, and with them being just a class outfit to follow. We've got the amazing Mancunian Unity. So we've got Phil, who will join us, who is founder and manager. Hi, Phil. Good to see you.
Hiya, Dom. How are you? Thanks for having us on.
Oh, good. Absolutely fine, mate. My pleasure. Been looking to get something like this up and running for a while. As it is that, I've been following the story. We know it's an ambitious club. We know you've got great things in the pipeline sooner rather than later for some things in particular. So I thought it'd be an ideal opportunity to get you on, have a chat about you, the way in which the club was founded, what you see the direction as being, and what your kind of integral part in the local and wider community could be, and is already as well. So great to have you on. Pleased to see that you brought a couple of players with you as well, which is awesome. And I'd obviously like to introduce those as we go as well. So welcome, Kate. How's it going? You okay?
Right. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Are you?
Good. Yeah, not too bad at all. Thank you very much for coming on. I know you've got better things to be doing, likely having your tea at this point. But yeah, if you've managed to get that out of the way, that's fine. We can just have a bit of a natter and find out a bit more about you and Unity as well.
Yeah.
Cool. We've also got the pleasure of Danielle joining us. Hi, Danielle.
Hi, guys. You okay?
All good. Are you saying hi to these as well? Yeah. I'm sure you speak to these all the time. Yeah. Sick of the sight of them.
Joined us this evening.
So we've got a couple of things to run through, but as I say, we can just find out a bit more about Unity, the story behind it, and what the plans are for the future. So diving right into that, Phil, if you can just give us a bit of an introduction as to your role and how Unity came about.
Yeah, so I'm the founder of the club, but more importantly, the manager of the first team, and I decided to start the club in 2019 when one player in particular, but there was a couple at another club that I worked at the time, and I used to go watch the women's side play. So having known those players, that it started to get a little bit of a toxic environment, and they ended up getting bullied and making to be felt like they shouldn't be playing football anymore. So I decided that I wanted to go down the route of the women's game, wanted to pursue my ambitions of becoming pro, and wanted to help these girls out who came to me. So yeah, we decided to create the club on the back of that, to try and create an environment and an identity that I believed was the right way to go about it, make people feel safe, enjoy the football, but most importantly as well, to be able to develop and give the best that they can give in the game. So we started from literally no name, no badge, no identity, no kit, no players. It's just me. And I'm telling you, without a big bank account, we've just a dream and an idea. And where we are now is just pretty unbelievable, to be fair.
Yeah, and have you found that kind of foundation for care has really developed the team, the club as a whole? Because it will, ultimately it'll breed success if it is that people feel secure, safe, wanted, valued. Is that something that's integral to Unity's success so far?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, as cheesy as it sounds, like it is within our name. The word unity we do take very seriously. With the definition that it brings, togetherness, a family, looking out for each other, having each other's back, supporting each other. But also going through good times, bad times, and everything in between as a collective. Listen, we want to give individuals the best that we can possibly give, but the biggest goal is the collective. And as I say, it is, the name means something to us, and every day that we do take that seriously.
Good. And with it starting off as one, obviously those kind of things are difficult, come with their own challenges, but the journey that you've been on so far from a singular person, what are the kind of numbers you're working with now? How many, teams have you got? How many, staff, coaches, people around the club and supporting that moving forward?
Yeah, it's growing every day again, to be honest. the first team, I think, off the top of my head, I think we've got about 24, 25 players signed on with 4 coaches, club sec, photographer. We've got great physio in Lisa, and then we have like a full committee now as well. So we also have a women's reserves team. Came across from Droylsden. They brought all their players, brought their management team. Unfortunately, the manager has moved on, but we've still got Liam involved and Gail. Signed a load more young players as well. We want to try and push that to become like an under-21s in essence. But there's so many people behind the scenes, especially even with our sponsors. Our sponsors don't just like give us money and stop there. They try and support the club. They volunteer with roles with the club. As I say, like Dan's dad is one of our main sponsors, and if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have stadium football this year. He's also on the committee and helps us find other sponsors. And it's just, again, people understand that where we are as a club, that people have to do more than just like what the job title says. So pretty much every single one of us do far more than what it says on the tin. So having great people, having passionate people, and people that buy into what we are is what has got us where we are today, and it is what will take us to where we want to go.
Cool, good. No, it's an amazing journey, and obviously integral to that are the players that help, everything on the pitch. But beyond that, if it wasn't for those people on the pitch, the people around them wouldn't have a job to do. So they're, just as important, and it'd be a great opportunity for us now to, introduce a couple of those. So Kate, if you can tell us a bit about your role at Unity, how long you've been there, your position, if that's possibly changed at all, and you might be benefiting from that, that'd be great. But yeah, it'd be great to learn a little bit more about you.
Yeah, so I've played football since I can remember, since I was about 3 or 4. And then I just stopped playing when I was like 16, 17, broke my leg and thought, no, don't want to do it anymore. And I actually met Phil when I started a new job. And he never, ever, ever, ever shut up about Unity. Like, never, ever. All day, every day. If they'd
got to sell it somehow.
If they'd lost at the weekend, he'd come in a bad mood. If they'd won, he'd be absolutely buzzing all week. So I was like, I'll come down, I play football. And he was like, oh, are you any good? I was like, I'm all right. So I went down. That was about 3-4 years ago. And I've literally never looked back. Like, it's the best club I've ever been at. I've been at other clubs before, and it's just not really like a team environment. Like, obviously you play as a team, but you don't have that team kind of feel to it. But at Unity, it's so much different. Like, I really, really enjoy it there, and all the girls, the class.
Where did you start playing?
Yeah, so I said to Phil I want to play in defence, so I'd never played in defence before. Said to Phil I want to try defence, played centre-back for the past 3 years. And then kept digging at Phil, saying, I am a striker really, though. I am a striker really. And then it's literally only been the past 2-3 months that he started putting me up front. So now I'm like a bit of both, centre-back, up front.
I look at it like,
whatever Phil fancies on the day.
Well, from the looks of it, from what I see, because obviously I go on Twitter and I keep an eye on stuff. When I see like the updates from games, I see Caitlin Hart, goal. I'm like, Jesus. It seems like a good switch. If you had to pick, would you stay striker, or would you want an easy life back at centre half?
No, to be fair, I feel like it's an easy life up front. Like, I find it a lot harder in defence. So yeah, if I had to choose, then striker. But I don't think Phil will let me choose.
Well, Phil, I mean, it's justified.
Yeah, look, she's bagging goals. She pretty much takes every chance that she gets. But she also played at Haslingden a couple of weeks ago at centre back and got player of the match. So at the minute, she's just brimming with confidence and flying wherever she plays. So yeah,
good. Well, look, someone who unfortunately can't be flying at the moment is Dan, and I had the pleasure of going down to watch. I think it was when he played at FC United Women there last season, and the standard of the football was excellent. The support was great as well. Dan, Phil mentioned your dad's part of part of the committee, part of the club. Was that something that was about before you came into the team, or is it that your dad got involved due to you being part of the team?
No, so growing up, my dad actually ran Urmston Meadowside. We've always lived in Urmston, and it was always mine and my dad's thing from the age of being 8. My brother played for them, so we were always sort of around it, and he was heavily involved and even became manager for them. And then I went to university, the team folded, everything like that, and he sort of took a step back. He was getting quite a lot of grief from obviously his wife, my mum, so sort of, you're never around, you're always at football, that sort of thing. So he just decided at that point to step back, and I went and set up Boothstown, which actually were rivals of Unity. A couple of how I met Unity and got involved with Phil. And again, even when I was manager of the team, he didn't really get involved. But there's just, like Phil's touched on, there's something about Unity that it's like a magnet. When you come down, you don't leave. And from there, even my mum, like, she still doesn't know the offside rule, but she knows every single thing about Unity other than that. And she's, they're both invested as well, even though Dad has the business and is like the name of it. They're both really invested. They're both on the committee, and they just love it. They used to come down. It's even to a point now where when I got injured recently, I just needed a couple of weeks out just to sort of, get over the emotions of it. And they kept going. They kept ringing me, and they were at the games. And, it's not even that they're there to just support me. They probably prefer watching everyone else other than me. But yeah, no, it was since I joined probably 2.5 years ago, maybe, I think. 2.5, 3 years, something like that. Probably in last year he did certain things, but this year they've majorly stepped up now and sort of said, right, we really want to be involved, and we've sort of just put everything into it.
Good. And on the subject of that injury, obviously we know through media accounts that there's been a higher prevalence for injury to women in certain areas. What do you want to tell us a bit more about your injury and how you're coping with that at the moment?
Yeah, so I actually did the same injury just before I joined Unity. So probably about 3 years ago, I ruptured my ACL on my right leg. Really lightly, just going from the girls, turned and snapped it out. And I think at that point it was all novelty. Like, even though that sounds really weird, but it was new to me. I'd never had a massive injury, and even though you sort of get told, yeah, you're going to be out for a year and this sort of thing, it's every step's new, every conversation's new. This time round really affected me. I was obviously playing at a very different standard than what I was doing back then. We don't necessarily see this as amateur standard, no matter what it's named in the tiers. We commit our lives to it 3 times a week, 4 times a week, and travel a lot, and the finances and this, that, and the other, everything comes into it. So to then have that stripped from you for such a short, sort of, such a small thing. Like, I don't know if you've seen the clip of the actual injury, but I wasn't flying into a tackle with someone. It was just a landing funny situation, and it's put you out for a year, and the whole life sort of gets flipped upside down. So yeah, I mean, it took me a few weeks to sort of get over it. I couldn't talk about it. I was having flashbacks in the night where I was hearing like the crunching sound and my screaming and stuff like that. But now I'm on the other end of it, and now I'm starting to get more involved again. But it's hard. It really knocks you.
Yeah, I can imagine. And again, just emphasizes the point of Unity being that much of a community, in itself, effectively, and having people to lean on. As you've been able to come to terms with it a little more, and you focusing on your recovery as well. Obviously, no doubt, going to be one of the biggest cheerleaders for the club moving forward, and it takes us quite nicely into what would be a momentous occasion for the club and for everybody to come out and support, irrespective of whether they've been injured, whether they've had a broken leg, whether they're just some idiot on a podcast. It would be encouraging for everyone where they can to get behind the team, because Phil, you've got a huge game coming up. Now you're a club, a team that's won double trebles past couple of seasons, but is this weekend that's coming up a pinnacle point in Unity's trajectory? And do you want to just let us know, what this weekend has in store for the club?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I'll say is I've had a few people say to me like, "Oh, this is a once in a lifetime game." I honestly don't believe that. I think this could be a taste of the future for us. I mean, in terms of our trajectory, I think it's huge. It's a massive step. I think the media that's been interested in it and that's going to be surrounding it over the next few days just kind of it makes it feel big time. But listen, as Dan's already said, we're still classed as amateurs. The girls still pay to play. Staff still put money in, buying our own kit at times, and Newcastle United are not just footballing giants; they're also professionals. So, Kate's talking about being our striker, paying £30 a month to bang them in, and their striker is obviously getting paid to bang them in. So, at the minute we are worlds apart, and I am realistic. I'm not stupid. I know that Mancunian Unity will never be the size of club that Newcastle United is. But again, part of our sort of philosophy, if you like, our identity is that nobody can tell us that anything's impossible. So on Sunday, we're going to be going into the game with belief that we can cause an upset. We're not there to make up the numbers. We're there to give it a go. We won't change the way we are. And hopefully, I look like a genius and not an idiot when I say I think we can beat them.
Well, look, it's as you can see, the fixtures rolling across the bottom of the screen there with the stadium that you normally play out of your home stadium, the Vesta Care, which is also the home of Avro FC. They've got some great facilities down there, and being in and around a club of Avro's capabilities and stature, I imagine has been great for you to be down there and calling it home.
Yeah, again, I think at the level we're at right now, we want to try and be the biggest, if that makes sense. So I think facilities of your home games definitely come into factor with that. So Avro's class. We literally couldn't ask for any better. The pitch suits us down to the ground. The stand, the food, the bar. The whole match day experience, not just for the players and the staff, but also for the people that come and watch us. It makes a massive difference. So, obviously, a huge thank you to Avro. They've been good to us. It has been a little bit of a struggle, if you like, this season so far. We've had to play a couple of home games at a different venue, but Avro have then got round the table with us, and they want to put that right, and they want to get us playing our home games at the Vesta Care. So, it doesn't come much bigger than Sunday, and Avro are right behind us, supporting us massively to put on a huge day on Sunday.
Good. Well, let's see if we can get a biggest crowd or biggest attendance tick there. And I didn't pull anyone local to the area get down. I'll be down there. I'm going to be encouraging other people to come down, but I'm sure there'll be plenty of people there, and not just for Macy's as well, because the food is banging, but the football will be better. So yeah, I'd encourage anybody to come down. It'd be a momentous occasion, irrespective of the result. Obviously, we know Unity will give a great account of themselves regardless. And like Phil says, hopefully, fingers crossed, pull something out the bag, which would be a great achievement. But even just getting to that stage, you've gone above and beyond. And if you're taking steps each season as they go by, like you said, this isn't the biggest occasion. It's just the first of the big occasions. So yeah, it'd be great to see. So in that, obviously, this is a really positive aspect and time for Unity, but just to be considerate of the challenges that a women's and girls only football club could face and may have faced. I think it's important that we maybe touch on some of those points. So Kate, obviously if you can, I'm just going to pop a question on here just for what you might have found the main challenges to be in the women's game.
I mean, I think the obvious one is just people typically thinking that it's not as good as the men's game or it doesn't compare to the men's game. I mean, you'll go on Facebook and see a post about women's football and go to the comments, and the first comment will be, oh, well, she's shit, or that man could do better, or something about go back to the kitchen or something like that. And even though it's like the 21st century, that's still what happens all the time. And I mean, you ignore it, but it is still really annoying. We're here to play football. We're not saying it's as good as the men's game. We're not saying it's the same game as the men's game. I think it's a completely different game to the men's game. And men might have one certain skill, women can do other things better. But I just think being compared all the time is just tiring.
And do you use that as motivation, or is that something that, you know, you like proving people wrong, or does that not really, you know, enter your consciousness?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't let it bother me. Like when you see the comments, it just goes over your head. But definitely as motivation. I mean, there's nothing better than when you meet a lad who thinks he's better at football than you, and then you put it through his legs. You're like, wait. So yeah, definitely as motivation, but it doesn't bother me. And I feel like from the women's Euros last year, it's just grown to another level, and people are starting to respect it a lot more now.
Dan, what have you noticed that how the women's games evolved along your career, and what kind of changes would you hope to see in the future? As Kate had mentioned, you know, off the back of, you know, the success of the Lionesses and it becoming, you know, it's come into a lot more people's consciousness. Is it something that, you know, you would look to maintain that momentum on?
Yeah, definitely. I think the way in which it's, like Phil said, the trajectory of how it's gone in terms of Unity alone is representative of women's football as a whole. Just the difference in how many people come down to watch, and how many people are interested in watching, not just us as a team, but, you know, even when you go to other teams or there's teams playing next to you, and just the amount of people that are around watching women's football now is a lot more. I do think the conversation about it is a lot bigger. There seems to be, I think, male player to female player. Yeah, there's still that, oh, the man will be better sort of thing. But there certainly seems to be a lot more positive talk around females football rather than, you know, men's. I mean, I've been playing football for years and years and years, and everyone at Unity knows I don't have a single skill in my locker whatsoever. I have like 2 left feet when it comes to trying to skill. But if you put a striker up against me, and I'll say this now even on camera, I'd give them a run for the money in terms of defending it. I didn't mention before, but I'm a centre half as well. So me and Kate are part of the reason why Unity have the trebles, aren't we, Kate?
That's solid back line.
Solid back line before she left me.
You
need to go up front with her.
Dan, was Dan not part of a defence for Boothstown that Unity beat 19-0?
I was a one-man band at that point. Yeah, Boothstown were on their way down at that point. We lost a lot of players. It's an emotional.
You jumped ship the next day, didn't you?
Yeah. She was already on the beach. She'd been tapped up off you, that's why.
Yeah, no, I went to watch her a couple of weeks before. I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Come on. She's like running from centre back, right wing, centre mid, left wing, ended up in net at some point. Like, I was like, what are you doing, mate? Come on.
Yeah,
come on.
I just decided that actually comes into the question you asked me, though. You know, I'd set up this women's team, and I had a lot of players that went off to uni and this, that, and the other, and, you know, life took over. They had children, and the team went from, you know, the season before, we competed in the quarterfinals against Unity, and it was a really close game. They did beat us 3-1.
Don't sell yourself short. Semi-final you were in.
Was it semi? So there we go.
Went to the final and won it.
Of course we did. I can say we now. But, you know, I went from having that team, and then afterwards, you know, when people left and the season after, I just used it as like a recovery season. I didn't want to go off to play at a high standard and put the pressure on my knee. So I just stuck around. I could play the minutes I wanted. And, you know, the girls loved it, even though they were getting beat every week. They just enjoyed playing. And for me, that does come under the question of, you know, the women's sport, they loved it. Yeah, they went to the pub after every training session. And it was more a social thing, but it was part of getting girls together and, you know, doing something that they enjoy. So, yeah, and then I did move to Unity and never looked back.
To be fair, just adding on that though, just dead quick, like that was one of the other reasons that we wanted to get Dan into our club, because like you could see the care that she had for players, regardless of, like, you know, whether they were high quality and, well, whatever the quality was, she cared a hell of a lot about them. And I remember speaking to some of the Booths Town girls and how highly they spoke of Dan and what Booths Town did. So I know we're joking around about obviously scorelines and stuff, but I remember that game that 3 of our players put one of your shirts on, didn't they, because you were down, and it ended up being more of just a sort of a good atmosphere. No one really cared about the goals or the scoreline, but that was one of the reasons that we wanted to bring Dan into the club, because of the reputation that she'd built with the people at Booths Town.
Good, and having that kind of foresight, I imagine is, you know, majorly important as to your role, and from a coach's point of view, being able to see people's, you know, additional value as opposed to just their technical, you know, understanding of the game or skill. Kate, what would you say would be kind of on that coach notion would be the best piece of advice you've been given from a coach? And that could be, you know, it could be from Unity. I would suggest you say it is, or it could be from anywhere else.
Best advice.
Don't think too hard, Kate.
She's got so much to
That's it.
choose from.
So much over the years.
We even coached together.
The main one for me would be when I went through my injury, and I came back and I was just frustrated 24/7, couldn't get back into it. And Phil would keep pulling me aside, and I mean, he was honest with me, and he'd be like, "Look, you're just not good enough. Like you are good enough, but you're not playing to your potential." And it took me a while to get it in my own head, but it's because Phil was like telling me all the time, like, you never ever, if you make a mistake and you dwell on that mistake, you're going to make that mistake 7 times over. If you make that mistake and you think, fuck it, it's all right, I'll do better next time, then you're going to learn from that mistake and you're going to improve. But for ages, I couldn't get out of my own head. And I was just, I mean, Dan, you probably saw it as well. I'd be storming off at training, throwing my bib off. I can't do this, I'm leaving. And then Phil would leave me to cry for 5 minutes and be like, right, come on, you can do better than this. I'm like, all right, yeah.
So now understanding that kind of advice did work, do you feel that, you know, you'd be in a position to impart that kind of knowledge or advice onto, you know, other members of the squad, or, you know, more junior members coming through as well?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a big thing in our team at the minute is that we're trying to lift each other up instead of trying to put each other down. Like we've got a few players who, like, in our team, we like to dig each other out. If you make a shit pass, then we tell each other. But we're trying to build it into the team to not take that to heart. Like, if I tell you you've done a shit pass, I'm not telling you you're shit. Like, I'm saying that you can do better, and I know you can do better. And that's what we're trying to drill into everyone at the minute, to get a bit of a backbone, really, because you need that in football.
Yeah, and that's something that, you know, invariably comes from the top down, Phil. Would you be able to describe what your coaching kind of philosophy is? Have you got kind of a set strategy, and, you know, is there anything that has evolved over the years as you've progressed as a coach?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like playing style, I do like to be adaptive, really, depending on the game that we're playing and depending on the opposition that we're playing. But for the most part, what we've tried to build over the years is we want to excite people. We want to try and play on the front foot. We want to take risks. So, you know, we want to play out from the back. We want to play through the lines, but we want to try and play 1-2 touch football, get it into wide areas. You know, we like to have pace. We like to go in behind. We like to get bodies in the box. But the main thing is the sort of mindset and philosophy would be we go out to try and score goals. And I think you've seen, to be fair, since we've moved into regionals, that at times our philosophy can catch us out. We've had scorelines like 6-4, 6-5, 5-3. But to be honest, some coaches be like, to be fair, I am sometimes. I want to keep clean sheets, I want to concede less goals. But listen, when you've got people coming up to you saying you are great to watch, you're so exciting to watch, we always feel on edge when we're watching you play. That to me, we're doing great there, because that's what I want. I want people to come down to Unity, and we've spoke about match day experiences, but the facilities and what you get doesn't really mean much if the football's rubbish. So yeah, the philosophy really is just to go and entertain, play on the front foot, try and score goals, take risks, and be brave. But I think it's evolved over the years, especially since being with the women, is sort of trying to. The man management side has become a lot more apparent to me. That a little bit of what Kate just said is I do think sometimes the girls do take coaching or points to heart sometimes, and do take it personally sometimes. So I think, as Kate said, we're trying to evolve that side now. But the main thing is that we drive positivity, and we're always together. And like I said earlier, whether we're going through a bad time or bad game, or if it's great or whatever, we do it together. So yeah, that's made us successful so far. So hopefully it continues.
Yeah, it certainly seems to be working, and having seen you firsthand, that kind of philosophy definitely for entertainment does come through. It's the same as when I'll keep an eye on the scores as well. I'm like, whoa.
I'll be honest though, I've been saying to him, I think they're trying to kill me off, because honestly, I don't think my heart can. I mean, I'm only 30, but I don't think my heart will carry on much longer if they keep having these kind of games. But yeah, it's class, to be fair.
Dan, when obviously when you're playing, have you got any kind of like post-match routines or any kind of pre-match kind of superstitions that you always stick by?
Yeah, I probably have the most out of everybody. Yeah, I have loads of weird things. So I have to have the same breakfast. I have to have a shake at the same time.
What do you have?
You're gonna think this is really weird now, but I dip like asparagus into eggs. Like against those soldiers. I'll do like asparagus in eggs.
Not sure about that.
So it's either that, or it'll be just scrambled egg, just with like spinach or something like that. It's just dead weird. Which sometimes when we had 4 o'clock kickoffs was a little bit difficult. I was like walking on nothing in my body. And then I don't turn up in my kit. That's like a mentality thing for me. I always turn up in a training kit, whereas some of the girls will turn up with their football socks on and shirt ready to go, and it blows my mind. I don't understand.
Do you feel it's more putting your armour on if you putting your kit on, getting ready?
In like some sort of training kit, joggers or whatever, sliders, and then get changed in the changing rooms. And I'm probably one of the first there and last to leave, because I'm still getting ready by the time everyone's ready. But yeah, that for me is like a thing. And then I always have a set time, half an hour before pre-workout. But apart from that, yeah.
Good. What about you, Kate? You got an egg?
I'll be honest, no. I just kind of wake up. I mean, I always have my breakfast at the same time, depending on when kickoff is. I'll normally eat like 3 hours before the match. But other than that, I've not really got any routines.
I think you've got one.
Go on.
I can
Make sure you're late. That's yours. Can't be on time.
It's a superstition, Phil. It's working for us.
I know.
I've
known her long enough now. I've got to accept it.
We have Katie, who basically does everything around the club alongside Phil and stuff like that. She does a lot of like the admin with help from Phil and this and the other. And Katie, after every training or every game, will always put in the WhatsApp, in the Facebook group, girls, in Katie's lost property this week, and we don't even answer because we know it's going to be Kate's.
Oh, Beth.
Or Beth. Kate or Beth. It's going to be one of theirs. So the rest of us don't even read or look at the picture. We just know it's going to be Kate's.
Well, Phil, it seems you've got a pretty good handle on what these kind of rituals are, but generally that can be left to a club captain. Who's the captain currently for Unity, and what do you think makes a good captain?
So Jess Bamber's is currently our captain. To be fair, I do want to give Kate a shout because Kate did used to be the captain. Won't go into details, but Jess Bamber's now the club captain. She's been there since halfway through the first season. And for me, really, I think a captain just needs to lead by example, really, on and off the pitch. On the field, obviously implementing the messages, driving that positivity, working as hard as they possibly can. But then also motivating each other. You know, if they see someone make a mistake, as Kate said before, knowing how to deal with people. So sort of having that man management as you would need as a coach or a manager, but on the field. But I think it's important that they know the messages and they deliver the messages and drive the messages on the pitch, and then have the highest standards off the pitch. Bamber, most part, pretty good. Just needs to make sure she gets the more training sessions to drive the highest standards.
Fair play. And obviously, you know, that comes from being able to reiterate kind of your message on the field. And like we'd said, obviously, if you play in to that standard in that kind of stadium, and that's give you, you know, something to, you know, aspire to, you know, from the Vestacare onwards. Kate, are there any like particular stadiums that you would personally love to see yourself playing at, and any reasons why?
Don't say it.
I'm not going to say the one you think. You probably asked the worst person, to be fair, because I don't really watch that much football. But I'd say if I had to choose, it's got to be like Wembley or somewhere like that. You know, where like all the legends have played, all the England legends. Like it's got to be Wembley. I mean, I've been once, and like I just stood there and was like, wow. Because it's massive.
That's a very, very good shout. Phil, who were you worried she was going to say?
I thought she was going to say Anfield.
Oh.
I'd have been off. I'd have been gone.
It's in Liverpudlian Unit.
Yeah. She'd have been dropped Sunday if she said Anfield. But to be fair, she does change from a United fan to a Liverpool fan. So I don't support football like every other day.
I've never been a United fan.
That's a lie.
Fair dues. Which leads us on. Dan, is there any particular? Obviously, if you're like Kate, you don't really watch that much football. Are there any particular footballers that you do kind of admire?
Yeah, and I'm not just being like a diehard feminist here, but I don't watch male football. It's always female football. I just naturally prefer it. I've probably got two in mind. I think Steph Houghton is just everything that a female footballer role model should be. Just her discipline and her game and the way she reads it. Obviously, similar positions and things like that. So I look up to her in that sense. And I think lately, probably Mary Earps, just for what she's doing for, you know, the whole making sure Nike are selling her tops and things like that. It comes into sort of the women's football sort of thing as to why it's already being done and why there is a difference. Yeah, exactly. I think certainly, aside from her TikTok, which is hilarious, like Mary Earps has probably got one of the best TikToks around. I watch her videos all the time. But no, I think certainly she's one that's on my radar a little bit more lately. I think she's a massive inspiration to a lot of the younger generation.
Yeah, and that's key, obviously, you know, and not to, you know, gender that kind of next generation. This is something for which, you know, has been inspirational for young boys, young girls, and everyone in between as well. So I think, you know, that kind of role model status has been emphasised hugely by the Lionesses' success, and it's been great to see as a football fan, not just a men's football or women's football fan. It's been great for the country, and it really did seem to, you know, unite a lot of people over, you know, certainly over European success, and then, you know, World Cup kind of run through to the final, not quite getting the result we wanted, but the consciousness again in it being, you know, brought into people's mind's eye has been has been really, really good to see. On that, do you see yourself as a role model for aspiring young footballers? You, Dan, sorry.
I'd like to think so, yeah. I think certainly for myself, I'm sometimes maybe too disciplined with it, to the point where, you know, we are amateur. Technically, I hate saying it, but, you know, we are an amateur team, and there's been times where I've considered not booking family holidays and not going away because I don't want to miss training, I don't want to miss games. And I think that does come inside with my personality, but also the challenge that's faced with being at Unity and the level that we all play at. We're all fantastic players. If you miss training, then it's principle, isn't it? You don't play. And then you're sort of having to build your way back up. And like Kate said before, as soon as you aren't on that board that comes in the changing rooms, the mentality is a huge battle. You know, you do end up having this fight in your head. So for me, I think I'd like but younger people to sort of look up and see that to get to where you want to be, you have to be disciplined and you have to be committed and motivated and show the right sort of character for it. But then at the same time, I think the injury side of things, coming back from it now, hopefully coming back twice, but coming back from it the first time and going to a standard higher than I've ever played before, shows them to never give up. So I'd like to think that, yeah, I could be a role model for them. And I remember, Kate, do you remember that game we played at?
I was just thinking about this.
We played a game at Radcliffe not long ago, just before I was injured, and honestly, one of the highlights of my entire footballing career was all of the kids at the end stood there asking for our autograph.
Oh.
And you think to yourself, like, we're paying to play. You know, we're leaving here tomorrow and going back to work at wherever we're working. We're not famous, but these kids were looking at us like we were God's gift. And it made some of us quite emotional. We sort of signed it and then walked away like, wow. Like, they're looking up at us thinking we're really, you know, something. So, yeah, I'd like to say we all are, everyone in the club.
Yeah, one of them asked for Megan Watson's boots, didn't they?
Yeah.
It's the only pair I've got, she said.
That's class. Well, I think that's the embodiment of being seen as a role model, and by the best possible judges of that in those young people. So yeah, that's amazing. Is there anyone in the team that you feel would be or make the best coach someday? And you know, who would that potentially be and why?
I'd possibly say maybe Jess Bamber, our captain, because I mean, you see her as a captain and she knows how to handle each player very well. Like, you've got certain players in the team who know how to speak to players as a whole, but she has a relationship with each individual player and she knows how to speak to each individual player. And when we get in for team talks or whatever, and Phil's giving us tactics or telling us what he wants us to do, she's always got that little bit to add on. And she always understands the game a lot. And it really does show, which I feel is important as a coach.
Yeah, no, that's a great answer. And obviously some of the best captains have gone on to be coaches. Some of them have been absolutely dire, but that's it's fine. But yeah, we'll move on to just a few quick fire questions, and then we'll kind of wrap up as well. But yeah, we'll start off with you, Phil. If you had to pick a dream Unity 5-a-side, who would you pick?
You've done. Honestly, this is dangerous.
Well, it could be based on what you'd need from a 5-a-side team. It's not necessarily just the best players, but the best 5-a-side team.
Honestly,
what you'll have to do is the ones that you pick, the other ones will say, well, we want to play you.
The problem is here, though, you've set me up to upset a lot of people here. I mean, there's one straight away that's obvious, which is Beth in that 110%. She's incredible. Listen, we've had some great people at the club, but Beth, in terms of, we're talking performance, she's worlds above. She's honestly one of the best keepers I've seen in the game. I personally think she has the potential to go so far. And she's got a great learning mentality as well, and she works so hard. So Beth in net. I mean,
a back two. You're going for just down at the back, absolutely.
No, yeah.
Everyone, or...
For me, I'd have to go one at the back. It's just what I'm like. God, this is difficult.
Well, you can't pick Kate because she'll just be toddling off up front all the time anyway. So
yeah, true. Struggling here. Do you know what? I am proper.
I think 5-a-side, I'm happy to take a step back because I don't have skills, and you have to have at least a little bit of skill in 5-a-side. So I'm happy. 11-a-side, I'd honestly beat you till you're black and blue if you said not me. But 5-a-side, I'm happy to step down.
No, do you know what I am? I not because she's just there, but with it being 5-a-side, I'm going to throw Kate at the back on her own because she's got pace. She's great at playing out. She's strong. She's quick. You know, so. And if you do find your centre half in the attacking area, she can finish. So Kate can slot in there at the back. I'm sorry to everyone else. I mean, I'm just going off. Yeah, I love Molly, Ellie Russell, Ellis, all of them. Chloe, you were hot.
Moll's good actually at going forward.
He is, but I can only pick 5. This is the problem. But I'm going with Kate.
Going with 2 across the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I'm in big trouble there. I'm telling you. I'm gonna go with 2 current players because they're just so dominant, so good. So I'm gonna go with a partnership of Haley, McVean, and Liz Ince.
I just text Kate saying that's who we'll pick.
Honestly, they're just so good together. We've had some phenomenal midfielders that have won double trebles and have got us to where we are now. And you know, I even think back to players who don't play anymore, like Chess, for example, was outstanding in 5-a-side. Touch and passing was great. I mean, I've missed Chess Bamber out, who's been with me for so long and is my captain. I could literally name them all, but as I say, you've got me in trouble, but it is what it is. Hopefully this is part of the step of them not taking things personally. So I can only, to finish off up top, I've got to go with Unity's all-time top goal scorer, you know, putting the ball in the back of the net. I think she's Unity's all-time assists as well, which is Maya. Been with me since day one. Yeah, she's a all-round great forward, so that's me. I'll go with that.
All right, I'll let you off the hook now.
You might have to cut that, honestly.
I'm dreading these next questions for us, Kate.
Well, look, on the subject of prolific goal scorers, this one is to both Dan and Kate. Who in the team has the most embarrassing goal celebrations? And could you possibly give us a sneak peek of what it is?
This is brilliant. This is class. Come on, don't be shy. I'm in the doghouse with everyone now forever.
He wants some company.
Commit.
I don't know about embarrassing. Dan, can you think of any embarrassing ones?
What's yours, Kate?
Mine is usually hands in the air and then
solid.
And I don't score, so I don't have one.
Have you seen any rogue ones, Phil?
One of my favourites was Isa last year, coming from Portugal, and it was like 7-0 or something. I think she scored like the 7th goal, goes darting off towards the stand, like doing quality. But she'd promised me, to be fair, that if she ever scored, that she'd pull it out of the bag. But Kate is mental when she scores. Like so much passion. It's class. I love it. But I said to her, she needs to get a better celebration. She needs something big.
Do you not remember Megan? who was it we played when she ran? Was it Oldham or Middleton? And the sideline, we knew that coming up against this team, they were like local rivals. And every time we played against them, the sideline were verbal. Let's put it that way. So
Understood.
Megan had said before, if I score, and it was at Avro, she said, if I score, I'm not running to the players, I'm running to them. And she did, and she scored. And I can't. Did she do that, or did she just
the same game? We had Liv Seth with one of them.
Yeah. And
so she went running around the pitch like this for about 10 minutes, and then ran to the stand and did like a knee slide.
Yeah. So things like that are always great because they just rile the other team up. So
yeah,
celebrations have been pretty good, to be fair. I think the team celebrate together. There's some good photos, and we've actually started to see individuals giving some celebrations this year. So I'm looking forward to see what hopefully would come out in a massive occasion on Sunday.
Yes, and obviously you've made some new additions. Obviously, incumbent of that is anybody having to do an initiation song. This is to the girls again. Which players have had the best? Who's got the best voice, or who's given the best rendition, and who's been the absolute dog's dinner?
I think one of the best ones was on the coach back from, where did we go the other week?
Penrith.
When Meg and who was it?
Liz.
Meg and Liz did their initiation songs. I mean, they were class. I mean, we'd all had a few beers on the coach, so we was all a bit merry anyway. But we had a speaker that had died, so we was like, all right, we'll just sing. So there was no music to it. They just had the phones playing really quietly, listening, looking at the lyrics on the phone, just chanting it across the bus.
I am going to step in here.
Sound positive. Have you got a bad one, Danielle?
No, I am going to step in here on behalf of Kate and Phil. They do the world's best Waka Waka impression you've ever seen. So me and Beth, the goalkeeper, we put on a gig. So I sing, Beth does guitar. So we worked closely together last year, and we put on a bit of a gig. We had a big event coming up at New Year, so we did a practice one, and they all came, and it turned into a bit of karaoke later on. Well, these two had a bit to drink, and out of nowhere,
this is supposed to be serious.
No. But out of nowhere, they did Waka
Ruining
Waka.
my reputation.
And they knew none of the words, but it seemed like they knew every word. No,
we knew the words.
Brilliant.
We smashed it.
I would say these two are up there as well.
Yeah, that's absolutely class. Hey, can you think of any kind of jokers or pranksters within the team? And just to round up, what's the funniest prank that you've seen played on any of the team or on Phil or any of the coaches? And have you got any in mind yourself that you want to be putting into play? Obviously, don't give us the details yet.
I mean, I feel like we're not the type of team that like pranks each other, but we do like always have a laugh with each other. I mean, you've got Jess Bamber, Maisie, who were just absolute idiots 24/7. But yeah, there's no like actual pranks, but they're just like, you turn up on a Sunday and you see their face and you think, right, I'm gonna have a good day today, because they're just from the start of the day to the end, they're just mental, absolutely mental.
Bamber tries it on with me a lot. Like she'll message me like half an hour before training. She knows it's my pet hate, and she'll go, "Oh, Phil, I can't make it tonight," and she'll make up this terrible excuse. I mean, she's gonna come to training, but so I've started to switch on to it now. So I just reply saying "fuck off." But then there was also a training session where I was fuming. I don't know. I can't remember. It was about a while ago. You know that little trick where people come up to you and they like go out on the side of your pants to make you feel like they could pull your pants down. She did that to me, and I just lost it. I absolutely lost it. So she's one to watch out for.
Good.
Maybe I'm just her target. I don't know.
Anyone of note, Dan, that you want to mention before we skip on?
Team Joker. Yeah, I think in terms of being a joker and like going out their way to sort of make people laugh, it probably is like your Mazes and your Bambers. They're always the ones that are doing strip teases after a game and just like in the change room, not actual ones, but like they always put on a bit of pony and they're always on the massage bed, just stuff like that making you laugh. But I would have to say, and again, not just because she's here, the clumsiest person that makes us laugh the most is Kate.
Unintentionally funny, yeah.
Yeah, but it has us crying, laughing. So Kate will be sat on the bench, and I'm going back, 2 weeks was it? She was sat on the bench, and next minute everything's thrown up in the air, and she's on the floor. She goes from sitting to falling over. She trips left, right, and centre. We did that thing probably 6 weeks. Actually, the game that I injured myself, so probably 8 weeks ago. We were doing the header thing in the changing room where you go back to back and you try and get it in the bin. And Kate was videoing us, and we were back and forward trying it loads. And then all of a sudden, Kate was stood up. I don't know how, but her feet came from underneath there. And the phone just goes all over the show, and Kate gets it in like slow motion.
I fell in the bin. My arm was in the bin and everything.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty amusing, just in the life of Kate, really.
That's class. Yeah. So, did the video stay on?
Oh yeah, we've got that as well.
We've got the video.
Well, look, that kind of stuff is what makes a team, whether you're playing or not. Those kind of things, that kind of jovial approach to camaraderie is something that it is huge. It's key for any team to gel. What that then translates to on the pitch is people that in and out through the bad times and the good times as well. And obviously taking on board what comes down from the coaches and implementing on the pitch has obviously seen you gain great momentum and huge success as well. And obviously long may that continue. But most importantly, into Sunday, I wanted to know from you, Dan, knowing what the girls are capable of, and unfortunately not being able to be a part of that on the pitch. No doubt you'll have a message for Newcastle United women, and what can they expect from the girls that they'll be facing on the grass on Sunday.
I think for me, one thing since we drew Newcastle that I've sort of had conversations with like players and Phil and friends that have said to me, wow, that is massive for you. I think the big thing for me is you look at the league tables and you look at the tiers, and you can even tell by Newcastle's social media that they're not at all daunted by this game. They're approaching it, and rightly so. In some cases, they're looking at the leagues that they are above us, and they're pro, we're not. And on paper, yeah, technically they should walk away with it. And there's nothing to say that they won't. And I'm not going to sit here and say that we're going to battle them, because I'm not going to disrespect them like that. I think the main thing for me would be for Unity to walk away with a professional team's respect. And I have every sort of, what's the word I'm looking for?
Confidence.
I know they'll do it. Yeah, every confidence that Newcastle will walk in and walk out with a completely different opinion of Unity. Whatever the result, even if they win, I can guarantee that there's a difference in handshakes. There's an empathetic handshake where you shake the hand and go, good game. And then there's the handshake where you go, actually, yeah, fair play to you. And I think that for me is one thing that everybody, not just Newcastle, will see on Sunday, is that we don't belong in the league we're in, and we do belong in a league where we're competing at levels like we are with Newcastle.
And for everyone else that's coming along, Kate, have you got a message for all of the Unity fans that will be in attendance, and that what they can hope to see from you guys on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, for starters, just thank you for coming down, because I mean, like we've mentioned, we want to get like a record-breaking attendance at our game. I mean, not even just for the players, but it just gives that atmosphere at the matches.
Having your fans there, it means everything when you're on that pitch. It makes you run that 5% quicker. It makes you track back. It makes you do that little bit more. And without, the fans there. Oh, we've had a park up.
I think I've got one, to be fair, because I think there's a lot of people that have followed us from when we was back in Tier 8. They've been to plenty of like school pitches and park pitches, and we've don't, no disrespect to any of the clubs that we've played against, but I think the fans have earned this game, this fixture, and this tie, this occasion as much as the players, the staff. They're as much involved in the club as anyone. So for me, my message to them would be make sure that you make the most of this day on Sunday. Make the most of the 90 minutes. Enjoy every second of it. Get right behind the girls. And no matter what happens in the game, just make sure that you stay loud, you stay positive, and like I've said, just make the most of it and enjoy it, because we've all earned it and we all deserve it, and we've all got to make the most of this day on Sunday.
Good. I think that's a great way to wrap up. And I'd just like to say thanks. I'll definitely be down there cheering you guys on, regardless of the outcome. And I'm really excited to see what the next steps are as well. So if you can get yourself down to the Vestacare Stadium in Oldham, 2:30 kickoff on Sunday, get there, because there will be queues early. Get yourself some food, apply yourself, be there, back the team, do what you can. And I'm sure, everybody surrounding Mancunian Unity will appreciate every bit of support, not just on Sunday, but beyond. And if it's your first time going, you will be hooked. So I'd just like to say a massive thanks to Phil, Kate and Danielle for coming on. I really appreciate it. There's nothing more important for me than finding out a bit more about a club, about its ambitions, about its drive, and about its background and foundation as well. So I'm excited to see what happens next. So thanks for watching, and I'm sure hopefully on Monday we'll have something to celebrate. But join us again. My pleasure. Goodbye.
Cheers, Dom. Thank you.
Thank you.